Oh, how are you? Sure. So we finally got some rain. It was a little night.
You were in Georgia.
We'd had about 2 weeks ago.
I knew as soon as I water. They were done.
Yeah, I'll offer a motion to come out of executive session. Second.
I have a motion by Lang, second by Barker, come out of executive session. Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
And Mr. Marmy, yes. So we are out of executive session. Just to let everyone know, no decisions were made in executive session. No debate occurred during executive session. It was just discussion with the law director as far as some information pertaining to an ordinance. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 23-41, an ordinance setting compensation with respect to certain elected officials of the city of Newark, Ohio, and repealing all ordinances and resolutions in conflict herewith and declaring an emergency.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. The piece before you has extended the philosophy that I've espoused of a 7-4-4 compensation package that's benchmarked off of its pattern, what the first one's got, extend to everyone, with the exception of a handful of assets where the cabinet felt some parity adjustments were in order, and those have been reflected in your charter.
Okay. As the chair, I need to bring to the attention to the committee and to all those here that we have an ordinance 20-01 in place, which states that all elected positions and their compensation must be set prior to the filing deadline of petitions set by the Board of Elections. So therefore, this ordinance, it's up to the body, the the committee, if anybody wishes to entertain a motion, but just knowing that we'd be going against another ordinance. If we pursue this,
Mr. Chair's a point of order.
yes,
The treasurer's numbers are inaccurate. This was after the filing deadline is made aware. The 23 salary that you're seeing there is accurate. The number is going 24 at a previously legislated raise. So that number is askew. It's about 700 light. And then we'll go 7. The proposal is 7,444. Our treasurer is not up until 1/1 of 25 re-election or election year. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you. Anyone on the committee wishing to offer a motion? Hearing none, then that will die for lack of motion. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 23-42, an ordinance authorizing the compensation of 3 civil service commissioners and secretary of the Civil Service Commission of the city of Newark.
Once again, Mr. Chair, we extended the compensation philosophy to our Civil Service Commission. This is a body appointed by our mayor. They have a robust role in all classified civil service appointments, appeals, promotions, demotions, other employment actions. They are made up of 1 secretary who by law has to be an attorney. These salaries have not been visited since the mid-80s, and I feel it's time, and I'm urging your consideration. So there is no math here, Mr. Chair. These are arbitrary numbers I pulled because 744 doesn't move the needle much on 500 a month. So the thought was, let's go 100, 50, and 50. But I didn't want to have to talk about retroactivity during the year of 23, as I will in the previous order or legislation or the following legislation. So nothing in 24, I'm sorry, nothing in 23, and you'll see an increase in 24 and 25. Same philosophy for 3 members. They all make $100 per month each. My proposal is to double it, but again, in 23 to double that, you have to go figure retroactivity on salary persons. It's kind of hard to do. Do nothing for 23, 150 in 24, another 50 in 25. And I urge your support, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Spurgeon, appreciate you bringing this forward. I don't recall if I saw, did you have a number for the cost, the change in cost to us?
Mr. Lang, through the chair, $34,800 are my projections, a 3-year cost.
That's the total cost. So I meant like the difference from, the cost of the increases. I don't know if you had that, the delta. Because we're changing the salary, right?
So a member will go from 100 to 250 in the year 2024. And they'll go from 250 to 300 per month in the year 2025 for all 3 members. The secretary will go from 500 to 600 in the year 2024, 650 in 2025.
Thank you. Yeah, and maybe we just need to do the math. I just want to put on the record how much more we're spending by increasing the delta there. Right, between what we're paying them today and what we would be.
Like a total number.
Yeah, the cost of the budget.
Over 3 years, the cost of the budget, my projection, $34,800.
Yeah, okay, we can move on.
All right.
We'll touch it. It's fine.
Don't know if I understand the question.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
All for a motion.
Motion by Line. I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Chu. Questions and or discussion? To answer your question, $9,900. There we go. Yes.
Thank you,
Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director, I just want to clarify this. These members get paid this monthly fee no matter what, if they meet or not.
Through the chair to Mr. Barker, that is correct. They rarely do not meet. However, summer is quiet, that type of thing.
Okay.
It's a relatively benign body until there's something to be done. Anytime we have a promotional test in the police and fire forces, they have a lot of work to do. There are numerous appeals. We've had entry-level candidates appeal, not being appointed, that type of thing. But yes, to be clear, Mr. Barker, they would be compensated accordingly.
Is there any ability to conduct any sort of comparison analysis for other cities on this particular wage increase to see what other councils would be at?
I don't know it, but I'd be happy to do the legwork.
Sure.
Any other questions and or comments? I guess, as the chair, I'm going to comment that, I am going to be in support of this, proposal and this ordinance. The reason why, these folks do take time, energy, and the minimal amount that they, get paid for what they do, unless the director has indicated. It is a very, very important job. And yeah, there's months where there's nothing to do, but when there are things to do, it's a burden on them, and they have to take time out of their busy schedule, their other schedule, and make a commitment to this. It isn't something that they can just say, oh, well, we can just take 3 months to do this. No, there's deadlines to be met. So since it has not been increased since the 80s, I'm going to be in support of this. It isn't a large increase. It isn't like we're asking for huge numbers on this. So just so everybody knows where I stand on this. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of send this on to full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance authorizing the payment of a ratification bonus to full-time hourly non-bargaining personnel, management, and supervisory employees and chiefs and deputy chiefs of the city of Newark and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the next 3 statements of policy to come. The administration wishes to recognize these folks have been patient. They, while not owed a cost of living adjustment, that is the employer's history, January 1st. And this recognizes that. The math is, we'll take the average salary per asset, we'll divide that by the number of hours they could have worked, and that's the one-time payment.
Offer a motion.
Second. Motion by Hauser, second by Chu. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send this on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. I am actually going to skip ordinance 23-44 and come back to that one. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 23-45, an ordinance setting compensation, stating policy with respect to management and supervisory personnel with the city of Newark, Ohio, repealing all ordinances and resolutions in conflict with this ordinance and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 4 substantive changes to the management policy. These are our water superintendent, our street superintendent. The folks at very high level of responsibility and operating capacity. Administration believes, and I agree, that they it would be the right thing, a prudent thing to do to extend the 744 compensation philosophy. We've also, well, we just have previous legislation, the retroactivity bonus. We have removed some cleanup language, for instance, or overly prescriptive FMLA language, have been copied and pasted. That changes federally. We're violating federal law, so we just put in there, we're going to obey it. Same thing, there's some exposure to us having to defend employment actions. We've taken some language out so to reduce that exposure. But the substantive change, Mr. Chair, is previous councils have legislated merit increases. The math simply stated is 2% a year, 5 times for a total of 10. So you get 5 bites of the apple over 5 bites. The administration believes, and I agree, that it would be the prudent thing to do to extend that for 3 more years. So it'd be a total of 8 bites of the apple at 2% each year. This is based on merit. The mayor could give it to me, the service director could award it to his whatever superintendent he's in charge of, that type of thing. The last substantial change, Mr. Chair, is we observed that we had a provision in the management statement policy that awarded uniforms, but our managers aren't really wearing uniforms, and they were able to cash in for not wearing the uniforms. So we urge the council support. We will continue to provide uniforms if you need those, but instead of a stipend to not get them, we'd ask for a shoe allowance. This is the engineer's office. We have the water distribution crews. That would be $125 a year to buy a nice pair of shoes. So that would be the trade-off, if you will, Mr. Chair.
Safety shoes.
Correct, indeed. Right. Safety shoes? It's affirmed.
We don't need to buy Maybes.
I can be really fine.
Well, there are still good night. I have a motion by Lang, second by Barker. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, ordinance 23-46, ordinance setting compensation and stating policy with respect to hourly non-bargaining employees of the city of Newark, Ohio, repealing all ordinances and resolutions in conflict with this ordinance and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Chair, same pitch. We believe it's prudent. I agree to extend the 744 compensation strategy. This would primarily be the clerk of courts and liquidation. 744, we're going to remove some of the cleanup language. We're going to ask for retroactivity bonus and urge councils to support.
Questions or comments?
Offer.
Second. Motion by Lang, second by Barker. Any further questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, sentence on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 23-47, an ordinance abolishing the administrative technical exempt unit and absorbing 3 positions currently under said unit into the policies and provisions of the hourly non-bargaining unit and repealing all ordinances and resolutions in conflict with this ordinance and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this particular employment group, their statement of policy virtually mirrors the non-bargaining. So we often ask ourselves, why is that? And I couldn't find a good reason for it, other than there are some accrued benefits in the administrative technical policy that aren't enjoyed in the non-bargaining hourly. So what we'd like to do is, without changing their terms and conditions of employment, the additional roll-ups, if you will, insert them in the non-bargaining hourly statement position. But I want to be clear, we in no way, shape, or form wish to change the terms and conditions of employment for these 2 assets. There's 3 that reside, but I believe only 2 are actually on payroll as we are now. These are grant-funded positions. Sometime before us, it was the decisions made to offer some additional accruals. That might be an attraction tool that folks don't want to take a grant-funded job. I think today's employment environment, we don't really need it, but we certainly want them to continue to enjoy that during their tenure.
Offer motion.
Motion by Lang, second by Barker. Questions and or comments? Mr. Lang.
Thank you. Yeah, the last, just point of order, I guess, the last whereas clause on this ordinance states that it was sent through the personnel committee, which I think it should have been. But we're, made it under our busy finance agenda, so I think we need to update that in the legislation.
Very good. Just need to clean up that way. Voted. Any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item is ordinance 23-48, an ordinance setting compensation with respect to certain elected officials of the city of Newark, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is the same as far as the elected officials. Is there any interest?
Yeah, so just real quick, I would say on this one, I don't think this is even needed, and I think that the attachments were incorrect as well, so.
Yeah, councils are set pretty much forever as far as any kind of increases. So that will die from its lack The reason why I skipped over 2344, I know that there's gonna be probably a lot of discussion. We have basically 5 minutes. Do you think it can be done in 5 minutes, or should we just break and come after? Give folks at least 5 minutes before council begins.
I'd like to give you, if it pleases the committee, Mr. Chair, I'd like to give you my pitch and then leave it to your discernment whether we need more time or not.
Okay. Ordinance 23-44, an ordinance setting compensation stating policy with respect to chiefs and deputy chiefs of the city of Newark, Ohio, repealing all ordinances and resolutions in conflict with the ordinance and declaring an emergency. I'm gonna back up. I know there's gonna be a lot of questions, so we're not gonna be able to get it done. I'd rather have folks at least get 5 minutes before we do full council.
Very well,
If
Mr. Chair.
If you're. acceptable to that.
With your committee, my friend.
Yeah. No, we don't. We'll just come back. All right, so this meeting will stand paused until after full council. Full council will start in 5 minutes at 7 p.m.